I got to ask you about Senator Pat Toomey. He was the Republican senator from Pennsylvania who, along with Democrat Senator of West Virginia, Joe Manchin, they came up with this bipartisan legislation for background checks. It failed. Toomey said, he gave an on-the-record interview where he said, it did not pass because we're so politicized. There were some on my side who did not want to be seen helping the president do something he wanted to get done just because the president wanted to do it. Moment of truth from Pat Toomey?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, that's another thing that I was talking about just a second ago. You know, this has become now about what the right-wing identity is made up of. It's not about being for anything. You try to find a health care policy they support. You can't do that. Try to find a policy that deals with anything environmentally that they support. You can't do that. Or that deals with gun violence. They throw stuff about mental health, even though they spend all their time cutting mental health. It's about being. It's like being part of a cult. Essentially, you have your identity is you hate Obama. He's from Kenya. Your guns are your own, and you need them to fight off a tyrannical government that's coming to get you. Global warming is a hoax. You know the deal. There's a few more things than that to be a member. You know, being gay is icky. You know, I mean, you can go down the line with these guys, and so. Pat Toomey really, who was someone I didn't have a lot of faith in before, and I'm not saying I agree with him on a lot of things, but at least recently it seems like he's been a little more honest about this stuff, which is most of these guys there are Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Rand Paul. That's the new culture of the Republican Party. They don't care about getting anything done. They don't care that cap and trade was their idea. They don't care that the earned income tax credit was Reagan's idea. They don't care that, the health care plan that President Obama passed was originally a Heritage Foundation idea that Mitt Romney used in Massachusetts. These were all once conservative solutions that were supposed to be market-based solutions to problems, but they don't do that anymore. They don't care about solving problems. It's about just saying it's about being a bunch of children in the playground. Literally, none of them have reached the age of 6.
Well, and Cliff, here's the other thing about it that, I mean, sort of baffles me. I can almost begin to sort of understand the thought process of, let's not give President Obama a victory if the president was up for another election. Suppose it's the president just before the president's reelection. We don't want to give him any legislative victories because we want to take back control of the White House. I would still argue that, well, the good of the country is more important than your own political ambitions, but at least I would sort of understand it. The president is not facing reelection. The Democrats aren't going to, benefit one way or the other whether President Obama gets something done or not in terms of the midterms in 2014. So in this sense, to me, it really does seem that this is all about racism and hatred and hypocrisy through and through on the Republican right.
And just nastiness and just literally this sort of identification with each other through your hatred of the other is what it seems to be. I mean, you remember, even in Obama's first term, he had a re-election, but it was going to be years later. And immediately, that scholar who now runs the Heritage Foundation, Mr. DeMint, said they were going to make the health care plan his Waterloo. And Mitch McConnell said his main job, not to legislate, not to pass legislation for conservatives that they might believe in. No, it was to get Obama defeated and make sure that he wasn't reelected. This is how they identify themselves. It's sad and it's really rather pathetic. And I don't, where do we go? We basically have one party, 3/4 of whom are dysfunctional people all gathered together. And these aren't always even the worst characters. We're not even talking right now about Michelle Bachmann, who may be on her way to prison, and Louis Gohmert and his terror babies. And these people serve us in representative bodies is just. I mean, it's amazing. It's embarrassing, frankly.
It truly is. Cliff Shuster, I am so glad that you and I get together each week, and I feel better at least talking to you and venting my spleen, and I'll stop from puking over Senator Cruz at least for a couple of days. So
do not puke over him. He is not worth it, David, and thank you for commiserating with me, too. I need it, man. It's
Cliff Shuster, We Act Radio's own. Cliff, have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Schechter and We Act Radio. Folks, if you want to catch Cliff Shuster, you don't have to just listen to him on our show. Go to our YouTube channel, Take Action News TV. Cliff's stuff is gold. You make sure you subscribe, and then you'll get all the Cliff Shuster clips and everything else delivered to your inbox at your convenience. Go to YouTube, Take Action News TV, click the subscribe button, and you're all set. You can also sign up for our iTunes, and also on Stitcher. You can get our podcast. Great stuff. Coming up, Daniel Marins has the next hour, a lot in store, including a pretty good debate coming up over late-term abortions. You're listening and watching to Take Action News on We Act Radio. The program continues after this.